All right. Getting ready.
Let's cut that part off.
Yeah, let's cut it off.
We're wearing lots of black today. That's coincidence. We look very dark.
Yeah, very dark. Even though the weather has been so amazingly nice.
Yeah.
Boy.
Down here, anyway. Yeah. I was going to go skiing today, but I checked weather and there was a winter, a storm warning, like a blizzard warning. They were saying, like, in the mountains, some areas in the mountains, 10 to 20 inches possible, and blowing snow and hazardous travel
Right.
conditions. And I was like, that is exactly what I'm trying to avoid on I-70.
Yeah.
So I stayed
not
home.
Great.
Stayed home and worked and played bass.
Well, maybe you'll get to go another day and you'll get to
Yeah.
ski on all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well,
I hope so.
maybe we'll have maybe you can have a fun week.
Yeah. I feel like I'm past. I feel like I may be wrong, but I feel like I'm past the big push. Like, it's been so busy
Right.
lately, and I'm having trouble downshifting. But I think I'm past the worst of it. Although now we have a showcase coming up.
Coming up fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started going through all the harmonies today, and then I realized I should have someone else responsible for harmonies on this show.
Just because of your workload on other things.
Because in case Nate's wife goes into labor during the show or right before,
You will be playing
I will
bass.
be playing bass. So I need to prepare on bass.
Right.
And that will drag me off harmonies, obviously. Plus, if I prepare both, that's just like so much preparation. So I'm going to see if Kristen
Right.
can do it.
Yeah. Well, luckily you got kind of a deep bench there. There's
Yeah.
a number of people who could do it.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, you want to talk about the music life this week?
Yeah. The music life this week.
Yeah.
It's been fun. It's been a fun week.
It has.
So,
it really has.
Yeah. Pretty full weekend. Well, actually, no. Before the weekend, you had a TV show.
Yeah.
Had one. You were on a TV show.
Yeah. I briefly had my own sitcom.
It didn't make it past the
It
pilot.
didn't make. It was one day, and people realized why that wasn't a good idea. No, Cody and I did the Channel 2, Denver Channel 2. I don't know what affiliate that is, NBC, ABC, I'm not really sure. But anyway, we did one of their Good Morning shows. They have a couple. We did another show at the same station in December, and this was like a later... There's like a Good Morning Denver, and then like at 9, like at 8, there's Good Morning Denver, and then at 9, there's Great Morning Denver. I don't know what
Different
it is.
hosts or something?
It is different hosts.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, we went and did that show, and it was, it was great.
Did Cody sing at all, or was it? Just
Oh
an
yeah.
interview,
No,
or?
we did a little bit of talking, and then they came back from a break, and we did a little bit more talking, and then we did a song. We did Colorado because there is a radio station called K4CO. I'm pretty sure. I'll put it in the description if I got it wrong.
It has a number in the call letters.
Yeah.
K4CO.
I'm fairly sure.
Oh, wow.
I will correct
Okay.
myself if I'm wrong. Anyway, they are dedicated to playing all Colorado music, and they're sort of ramping up. I don't know if they're changing formats. The president of the radio station and the program director and the vice president were all there, and they have been playing Cody's song, Colorado, which I produced, and played with Hazel and Hazel Miller and Josh.
Blackburn.
Yeah, Blackburn. And anyway, they've been kind of playing that heavily, so the radio station was bringing Cody to the TV station to be like, hey, it was like a dual, they were promoting Cody's music, but they were also promoting, hey, we have this radio station that plays Colorado music. And it was so great to meet those guys. Josh and Kevin were just, killer guys, and apparently they're unformatted, so it's not Colorado rock music, it's not Colorado folk music, it's not, Colorado...
Adult
whatever.
alternative
Or that
whatever.
weird strain of music that is just Colorado music, where it could be jam or it could be bluegrass or it could be, but it's just kind of generally accepted Colorado kind of mountain music. It's,
Oh, right.
It's
not a
all
genre,
of it.
yeah, okay.
They're like, we play metal back to back with rap. They're just focusing on highlighting Colorado artists, and they are jazzed up. And anyway, it was great to meet those guys.
Cool.
But we did the TV show, and like I said, we did interview and a song, and then we did a little more interview, and then we played half of a song to go out to commercial.
Cool.
Yeah, so it was. And they're a well-oiled machine there. They do that every day. So they are just like, stand here. And as we've talked about, I have somehow no more feelings about television anymore. I have no feelings about it. Like
You've done it so many times.
I just don't care. I'm like, whatever, man. Like, and you're very grateful to be on. And it's not that, it's not like I'm like, oh, I don't even care about this. It's
that you don't get nervous.
It's a
like,
great
it's not
opportunity.
a thing. It's just like, there's not even an audience.
It's more than even
Right.
not getting nervous. It's just like, I don't know. Like, it doesn't, yeah, I don't activate at all. Although, I will say, not nerves, but you know how I get that allergy thing?
Yeah.
Especially when it starts warming up in the springtime.
Oh, no.
And so, like, 30
no.
seconds before, and they're like, everybody's yelling, and they're like, 30 seconds. And I'm like, and I had to, like, run out in the hall and
jeez.
just, like, try to, like, super cough so I would not cough while
Yeah.
we were actually on the,
Yeah.
because I just get, like, a little bit of allergy thing. And, so that was the only, and I think Cody was a little panicked for a second, because he was like,
You're an expert at disappearing right before you're supposed to go on stage.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you've said
That's
that
your
before.
thing. Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. But of course I was right back. I just didn't want to like
Yeah.
hack it up in front of those people. And but we had a great show, and man, Cody's such a pro. I mean, maybe that's the other reason. To be fair, that's maybe part of the reason I don't feel nerves is Cody's cool. He's done it a million times. I've done it a million times. He's gonna say cool stuff. Smooth everything over.
Yeah.
And obviously the hosts of the show, they're pros.
Yeah.
It's just
they
sort of
can
like
talk anybody through it.
yeah, there's like it's a very low pressure situation. I mean, you
Yeah.
would think, oh, I'm going on TV, high pressure. It's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just
but
like
you can get up in your own head, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
Once you know that camera's running. So, I don't know. I probably told you at some point, but back in, I think, 7th grade, I was in some class where we had to give a speech on camera. So we were in like the AV room and would stand at a lectern and like give our prepared speech. And there was a
Right.
camera that you were facing, and there was a little red light up there, and you could
Yeah.
see it. And it was completely dark in the room, and you just see the camera and this red light. And I got so nervous that I stopped breathing and I passed out and fell down.
You have not told me that story. That is amazing.
I had terrible stage fright. It was that bad. That was the beginning of it.
Boy, that seems
Actually, no, that was after I forgot the words to the entire song that I had a solo on in my 6th grade
Oh,
musical.
I remember that story.
Yeah, I had a
Ooh, those
minor
are rough.
a minor part,
Yeah.
and I had one solo song. It was just me and the piano, and I couldn't remember any of the song. So in front of the 7th and 8th graders during the daytime performance, I stood there while the accompanist played the entire song, and then I walked off. So there was that, and then there was passing out in front of the camera in 7th grade. So it's kind of a wonder that I'm comfortable on stage and in front of cameras now.
I
right?
know. And that seems like, given what we know of your personality, you're unshakable. You're just iron-willed. It seems so funny that was...
I had to learn it, and I actually learned it from water skiing. I think I told you that process. So,
Right.
I was a competitive water skier for, I don't know, 16 years, something like that. And to try to do the best I could, I started reading sports psychology books, and I meditated and visualized, and I would try to get in the right headspace.
Right.
I would practice being in a tournament headspace while I was meditating and visualizing. And so I learned how to really control my mind and my physical state for tournaments. And I was known for performing at as high at a tournament as I did in practice. Like
Right.
my personal best, my lifetime personal best in water skiing at a tournament is exactly the same as it is in practice.
That is,
Because I learned how to deal with my mind. And
I
so
mean-
then I took that to stage when I started
that
doing
is,
music.
I mean, that is the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if my process isn't the inverse of that, where I'm a very freak outy person. I've just figured out how to use that
Yeah.
freak out in my.
You do freak
It's
out.
now part of the package. Yeah, I really go to pieces. Anyway, after TV, I know I've been talking about the Eric Golden project a bunch, but we put the final touches on his first single, and that has gone to the wonderful Anna Frick for mastering, and she's working on it right now. I have had so much nerves around this project, and Anna, I don't know if I told you, but Anna was nice enough to get on the phone with me. She's a mastering engineer. I think she actually lives in Fort Collins now, where the studio is located in Fort Collins. Anyway, she's great, and she did the last Cody record that I did. She mastered that. So anyway, we got on the phone, and I was talking to her about some of my concerns and stuff, and she was nice enough to be like, you know, I guess this is inside baseball, but a lot of times with mastering engineers, you send them a mix, which like a mix is where you're combining all the elements. We've talked about this, but like you're combining all the elements. The vocal needs to be at this volume, the guitar needs to be at this volume, blah, blah, blah. The mastering is when they take that mix and sort of like, you know, make sure it's the right volume to go out in the world and that it, you know, shine it up.
And it matches, if it's an album, it matches the other songs
It matches
on
the
album.
other, right. So anyway, a lot of times they will use these workarounds to fix problems in the audio where it would be just as easy to go back to the mixer and say, hey man, can you just turn the bass down 2 dB? Like I can do stuff, but it's a workaround and it's kind of a hack. It's a Band-Aid. Or I would really like it if you turned this up or turned this down, and then I don't have to do the Band-Aid to fix it. And it gave me like, it took care of so much anxiety because Eric and I have worked on this record so hard, and I was just like, you know, and we had this great conversation. She was like, yeah, absolutely. I'll just like, if I find anything, you know, I'll go back to you and you can hit me with a revision. And then we were talking today actually, and she was like, no, it sounds great.
Oh, good.
So we're almost done. So that first Eric Golden single is coming within the week. So that'll be fun. Gosh, then we got to Friday,
Yeah.
which
let's
was
see.
cool for you because you got to hang out with Ryan Miller, by the way.
Oh, yeah. My
Yeah.
buddy from, well, gosh, we go way back now.
Right.
I met Ryan because he started taking voice lessons with me when I was still teaching out of my basement.
Oh, is that how it happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so he would drive up from from Denver to my house in Boulder
Right.
and take voice lessons. And he was in this live karaoke band called Guitar Villains at the
Right.
time. And he mentioned that they were looking for a keyboard player. And I was like, well, I can sort of play keys. I play scales and arpeggios in my voice lessons all the time.
Right.
And I took 4 or 5 years of lessons when I was in 4th grade through 8th grade. So anyway, I tried out and I got in. And I got in because I play exactly the riffs with the right sounds.
Right.
You know,
You-
I'm not like some accomplished player. I can just play. I learned the thing and I played the thing.
And for pop
Yeah.
rock keyboards, that's very often. I mean, a lot of the signature parts are like one-hand parts. Like we were talking
Yeah.
like synth parts. They're
Oh
not
yeah,
even
it's
like.
almost everything was one hand parts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're great at picking out tones. And man,
Yeah.
Guitar Villains used to draw like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to like sell places out.
And we played almost every weekend, maybe every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We would play at Old Chicago Pizzeria downtown in Lodo and
Okay.
pack that place because people wanted to come sing quote karaoke but with a live band.
With a live
and
band.
then they would have like contests at Herman's Hideaway. We'd like every singer was
I mean, they would sell out Herman's. I mean,
yeah.
they would, yeah.
I mean,
straight
we would
sell it
have
out.
like 30 singers and they were all supposed to bring at least 10 people.
Yeah.
And some of them would bring 20 or 30
Yeah.
for one song. But it was such a crowd. It was just like, it was a scene. It was
Yeah.
a real scene.
It was a real scene. And I judged one of the
Yeah.
karaoke contests and learned my lesson on that.
What do you mean?
Oh, it was just a very long night paying attention to,
Oh.
you know,
Yeah.
30 or 40 singers and like
Yeah.
keeping notes and
True. Yeah. Anyway, God, we went down a rabbit
yeah,
hole
sorry,
on that.
but you hung out
so
with Ryan.
I hung out with Ryan.
Yeah.
So I had joined.
Who is in the Anchor.
Sorry, I'm putting on Do Not Disturb. Yeah, Ryan's in the Anchor now, and that's a heavy band. I don't know.
Very heavy metal.
I don't know what genre they have all those divisions.
Right.
Anyway, female fronted screamer.
Yeah.
And they have been working at it for a while, and they did a big tour this summer where they toured the UK for like 3 or 4 weeks, and they toured the US for I think 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
And they said they had 2 or 3 times the size of audience that they did on their last tour. It's going really well.
Those guys are really doing it.
Yeah.
They really are. And they work hard and they deserve all
Yeah.
the, so it's great to see Ryan, getting to do the
Yeah.
thing he wanted to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's so cool.
And then the weekend was full and fun again.
Yeah.
It started off with the hand percussion class. Was that Saturday?
That was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, this was a class that I offered through Performance High or at Performance High because one of our clients asked for it. We're asking them for what they want us to do. And so
That's such a good idea, too.
Someone
Yeah,
said, I'd like a
just
hand
say-
percussion class.
yeah.
And I was like, I was skeptical. I was like, well, you're probably going to be the only person in the class, which she almost was.
Right.
The first date we were going to run it, there was one person in the class, but it was also a heavy snow day, and I had to get down to Colorado Springs for a gig.
That's right.
So she was like, hey, it's totally cool to reschedule if you want. I'm flexible. So I did, and I ended up getting 3 more people signed up for it. So we
Right.
had a blast. And, I did not just figure out how to play hand percussion on my own. I actually took, back when I lived in Boulder and I was starting to get into music, for a short time, I joined a Brazilian bateria, which is a Brazilian drum corps.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You see those.
Yeah.
Yeah, on TV or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a huge Brazilian music scene in Boulder.
Wow.
And I took a class that one of the leaders offered and learned how to play shaker and how to play tambourine from
Which-
that. And I also learned how to play tambourine with the little,
Oh,
the smaller one that has like the skin on it.
the
too.
head.
It's like,
Yeah. Which, by the way, it bears saying, hand percussion is incredibly hard to play well. It's incredibly hard to play even okay. And everyone always thinks the opposite. They think that like shaking a tambourine would be the easiest thing in the world. It's one of the hardest instruments. And I've complimented you for a decade. You're a very accomplished hand percussion player.
Thank you.
Like the
I
fact
love
that you
playing.
can actually like lock in, and Ryan Elwood has said the same thing to you, where it's just like you can actually play those things in time, and not many people can. And in fact, in the old days in Florida, at my studio, I never let drummers play because every drummer thinks they can play tambourine, and I'm like, I promise you, if you have not practiced it, you can't. Like, I'll just do it because I'm
Wow.
not going to sit here and like spend an hour
Yeah.
trying to get you to play this.
Yeah.
And even good drummers, it's one of those things. If you haven't worked on it, it's not.
Yeah, it just
it's
has
a
to-
tricky instrument.
It just has to be pure muscle memory. I mean, I can't play tambourine with my left hand very well. And so I can feel what it feels like to be a beginner if I just switch hands.
Oh, that's
I mean,
interesting. Yeah.
I did it at one show because I had to hold something in my right hand for some reason.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. You
I
remember,
vaguely
I was
remember
walking
that.
around stage playing tambourine. You're like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm trying to figure out if I can play it with my left hand.
That's
And
right.
I got it after a while.
Yeah, maybe it was a showcase or something. I can't remember.
I remember being at a theater,
Yeah. Okay.
or who knows.
Who knows?
But I mean, my right hand, it's all in my right hand. I don't have to think about that at all. But like, I'm a beginner if I put it in my left hand. So it just takes reps. I would walk, when I took that class, I would just walk around my house singing a song and like just putting the time in. Just
Yeah.
playing the tambourine and listening to how it sounded.
And I did the same thing where I just spent the amount of hours I spent practicing tambourine because it became, at some point in my process of recording people, it became apparent to me like people can't play this thing. And so I just literally spent hours like sitting around listening to records, just like working on, and I don't really play it. You come from the elbow, and I play kind of floppy because I just taught myself. But Some of it, a lot of it's just practice. But you said people actually caught on to it.
Yeah.
In the class, people caught on to it really
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah. I mean, everyone at their own pace.
Yeah.
But we did get the whole group singing and playing more or less in time. So that was my goal, was to get these singers to be able to sing and play at the same time. And I wasn't
Right.
sure if we would be able to do that in a 2-hour class, especially because that was split between tambourine and shaker. So
Shaker being the harder one.
yeah. So we just, I gave them an intro to shaker. We spent maybe a half an hour on 45 minutes on shaker, and the rest was tambourine.
Right.
Because that's, if you play the shaker badly live, no one can hear it. If you play the shaker badly, the tambourine badly live, you can really screw things up.
Tambourine slices through everything. It's unbelievable. It really, yeah. Well, that's so cool that class worked as a charter thing, and it's so cool that people are interested in developing their skills and kind of
Yeah.
expanding their skill sets, and you've done the world a real service, because it is a real cliche that the singer who thinks they can play tambourine and it's all over the place,
Yeah.
and
I'm going to keep offering it. Hopefully people will keep taking it. We'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll just see what people want. So then I came home. We got ready to go to the Oriental Theater for a Petty Mix Experience gig, our annual show at the O.
Yeah, we do one a year there. I've talked about it a million times how much I love that weird, creepy, vibey, love that place. The turnout was definitely the best we've ever done at the Oriental. We've theorized on why we never do bad. It's always been 250 or something. It's not like, bad. And this was more like 4,
Yeah.
So, who knows exactly why? But man, it was a good show. That audience was
They were into it.
amped up.
Yeah.
It was apparent from I was talking to Joaquin, our excellent new drummer. He was just killing it. Like every show he's getting, and I gotta say, I'm sure he won't, it's not like he watches. I mean, he's like the one guy who doesn't. But anyway, he's a bit of a contrarian. Anyway, he was so cool because we had some tempos where we were just felt a beat or two off.
On a previous show.
On a previous show. And so we were like, hey, would you mind just bumping up the metronome on a couple of these? And I think it's more just that like he tends to feel stuff on the back of the beat instead of up on front of it. So we were like, just maybe if you just tack on an extra beat per minute, then it'll feel where we're used to feeling it. And he was so cool about it, man. It was like great to work with somebody that was just like, hey, no, whatever like
Yeah.
some drummers can be really like, oh, I'm the guy.
I'm playing it at the tempo that you told me to play
Yeah.
at, so what's your problem?
Or I'm the guy who really knows what tempo stuff should be or whatever. A lot of drummers kind of have that chip on their shoulder where they're like, oh, you guys don't know tempo. I know tempo. But he was so cool about it. And we just killed it. But I was talking to him after even the first set, and he was sort of like,
like the audience.
yeah, he was like a little shocked. He was like, what is that?
I love it. I love that it still feels like we are climbing with this band.
Somehow, you get those dips where it feels like that's not what's happening and we're plateauing out or, whatever. And then you get another show where you're just like, whoa, that's another.
It's still both a ton of repeat people and a ton of new people. The audience is basically split half and half between return attendees and new attendees.
Yeah.
So it's growing and it's holding its core.
Yeah, no, that's a good observation. Joanne.
Yes.
Aguirre?
Yeah.
Aguirre?
I don't know how you
I
say
don't
her
know
last
how to
name.
say her last name, but she is the sweetest, nicest person, and we were thrilled to see her there. Got to give her a hug.
She takes tons of photos.
She's so good at it too.
Good.
She's really good at it.
She is out at every single show. She goes to every show.
I know.
Every night.
And boy, so many people were
not
there.
just ours, like every show that anyone plays.
Not just ours at all. Like she's a huge supporter of the local scene, and we're so lucky to have people like that do that.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I thought it was a good show. I mean, everything felt really, really good. Few sound issues for sure, but like, I mean, that's gonna happen, you know.
Not for me. My sound
Yeah.
was fine. I was
Yeah.
fine with it.
It was one of those shows for me where everything felt incredibly loud, and yet I couldn't hear anything. It was one of those things where just something, you know, and we've played that room a bunch of times, so it wasn't like, you know, I know that room, but for whatever reason, like my guitar seemed way too loud, and I felt like I couldn't really hear myself. And you seemed like you were just blowing me out, and I couldn't really hear you.
That's so
It was just
weird.
such a weird, like, it was like a tornado of sound. It was just like spinning round and round. I just couldn't, you know, it was a great show. I felt great. It wasn't that, but it was one of those odd shows where you're just like, man, this is loud, and I do not feel like I can hear anything clearly.
That's so strange.
Yeah. But we, you know, barreled through it, and, you know, that second set,
The whole night felt like it went fast,
yeah,
even though it's a little longer show than we normally do.
right.
That one just flew by.
Just flew by. Yeah, it really, really did. And it was a great crowd and a great audience. And we got to thank Andy and Alla and Jeremy and Mark and all the guys down at the Oriental.
And I made a mistake
Oh,
at that gig
I
that I texted everybody about afterwards to apologize.
yeah,
So the beat turns in Edge of 17. Normally the kick is on the 2,
right.
in the verses anyway.
The White Winged Dove song.
Yeah. Just like the white winged dove.
Yeah.
The song says. Anyway, and so the kick is normally on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
But there's a bridgey section, one of the 3 bridges,
Right.
I think,
It's a
where
whack.
where the kick is on the 1 and.
Right. So
1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3. And it's been a few years since I got turned around and lost my place, but I did. And I knew I was off. But I could not turn myself back around and move that half beat. And you knew it because you saw it. You saw it in my eyes. I was facing the drums and I was like, shit.
I saw it 3 or 4 bars before it happened. I was like, oh, Adrienne doesn't know where she is. Like, or you're about to not know where you are. Like you yeah. And I just couldn't think of anything to do. You know, I do that that's why I do that big guitar slide there to like reset the 1 to make sure that other guitar players and bass players know where it is. But I don't think you couldn't really pick that out of what was going on.
I was also just too fixed in my time.
I mean,
grid.
sometimes once you have it,
Especially since I was fixed with the kick on the 2 and I couldn't get off. I was hearing it as the rest of the song is, and
Right.
I couldn't slide myself off to understand that kick I was hearing was on the 1 and. I mean, that's so unnatural.
well, and sometimes when you locate the 1 in your head, that 1 is so powerful, and if you
Yeah.
are feeling the 1 in a
Yeah.
certain place, it is extremely hard to recalibrate.
Yeah. So I came back in. I was like, well, they're going to have to figure it out behind me. So I just came in and started singing. And I heard the band go, what? And I was like, they'll figure it out. And Joaquin did a brilliant thing. He dropped out just a hi-hat.
Yeah.
He recognized that something was wrong and he just dropped it out and it was just keeping time. And that allowed everybody to kind of reset to where I was. And the whole band also took it down as if, yeah, we meant to do that. This is a down chorus now.
And I actually caught you, meaning I was waiting and I was just going to see where you, because just like that, white, the
Yeah.
word white is on the 1, and it's like
Just like the
the
white.
or it's
in the middle of the
pushed
word,
of
yeah,
the, but anyway, that's where it lands, is in the middle of that word. And I was just sort of waiting, and I caught you, but no one else knew that it was happening. Like,
Yeah.
I had no way to communicate to everybody else, and nobody
Danger.
else caught you. We might need to develop a hand sign to be like, you know. Well,
I'll put an L on my head. I'll be like, hey guys.
well, the old school hand sign we used to use, because I was holding a pick, and I would throw that sign. Because it was a clear symbol I could throw and still hold the pick. And it meant either something has gone wrong, go to guitar solo, or
Shoot, sorry about the noise. What?
what in the world?
Okay, let me put on. I thought I put on Do Not Disturb.
I saw you do it. Yeah, do not disturb.
Okay. Maybe it wasn't on before. Anyway, that wasn't your phone. That was recorded into the podcast. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, that sign meant, I don't know how we're going to edit around this. You're going to have to hear the whole thing.
It's like you're holding a. Okay.
Yeah, I'm holding a pick. I could throw that sign, and it meant either something has to go wrong, just cut to guitar solo, and I will start soloing, and we'll figure out what has gone wrong. And then everything will seem like it's fine. I'll step up front and start playing some nonsense, and then everybody can sort out what's going on. Or it just meant just screw it, just go back to the chorus. Depending on sort of where you were or how messed up it was. Like if we were halfway through the bridge and it was really clear that something had train wrecked and we didn't really know, it was just chorus, just drum fill and chorus. Or if it was a more nebulous, we don't even know where we are, then it's like that means guitar solo. It was just like if we need to, that's my famous story about the singer walking right off the front of the stage. And I threw the sign.
Obviously time for guitar solo.
Obviously time for guitar solo because we have no more singer. Anyway, the other thing I thought is maybe we could even make that on purpose. Like
that was pretty cool.
It was very cool.
I think we might want to do that.
It was one of those mistakes that turned out to be actually, because then the whole theater, it was sort of just you for a second. I mean, Joaquin was keeping time, but it was sort of just you for a minute while we were all recalibrating, and the crowd just was singing super loud.
Yeah.
So it might be really cool to break that down to like...
Well, Vic's family said that they thought it sounded like we meant to do it.
Yeah, no, we walked out of it pretty... There were a dicey second or two. It was just so funny, too, because I just, like... It was one of those weird stage moments for me where I'm like... I was just like... I wasn't even looking at you, and I was like, oh. Like, I could just feel it, like...
You're so in tune with me.
I just...
On stage.
Yeah, it's just...
oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but only on stage, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess I didn't need to add that.
Anyway, we had such a great time at the show, and gosh, it was great. And then you got a scant 4 hours of sleep and had to rush off to your...
Yeah, I had a church gig.
Yeah.
And it was the opening of the third location of Journey Church, Colorado. So this one's in Parker. They had huge attendance they had like 300 or 400 people there for their first official service.
Okay.
Yeah, they've really been building this for a while, I guess.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting experience on bass for me because, first of all, there were some tech challenges. It took them a while to get the tracks going. One of the tracks was in the wrong key, so in rehearsal we started playing and it was incredibly dissonant because the tracks were in B and we were playing in C. The worship leader changed the arrangement of a couple tunes. It seemed to me that he changed them compared to what had been posted, because I did go back and check everything
we were talking
the night before. Yeah. But maybe I made a mistake. So that plus lack of sleep, I could literally feel my brain not working as well. And so I had to abandon my gig goal, which... I try to work on a skill each gig.
Yeah, we've talked about
this one was just going to be heads up. Just look up more often was going to be my gig goal. And I was like, okay, I'm having trouble remembering where the notes are on the fretboard, so I think I need to just focus on playing.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about changing any octaves, don't worry about being heads up, just like hold it down.
Yeah. And
I made some mistakes based on the arrangement changes that either I didn't catch or I hadn't perceived. I think that one of the tracks was messed up. Arrangement wise, so it was
because you guys are on heavy tracks. There's
it's mostly pads.
Oh, okay.
So
meaning like sustainy kind of floaty,
like heavenly sounds.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like meditation sounds.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
So it's not terrible. Like, and all of these songs are using like the same 4 chords.
Right.
So hit the wrong chord, it's not incredibly dissonant most of the time.
Right, it's not going to be... Yeah.
There's nothing jazzy. So, I got through it. It seemed to go over great. people loved it. Everybody gave
Yeah.
compliments. Nobody was, walked off stage being like, oh my God. Except me, because I felt like that was not my best. But,
Well, and then
know.
you found out you apparently have a doppelganger.
Right. I was walking out after the service and two separate people stopped me and said, hey, I saw you play at so-and-so saloon last weekend. And I was like, no, you didn't. But tell me what you saw. And we were trying to think of that band name, that country band that Jennifer Scott's in.
Is it Walker Wallace or Wallace Walker or?
No, I thought it's one word.
CW and 20 Hands High?
No.
Okay.
Anyway.
We're not going to get it.
Yeah. But apparently they have a female bass player that looks so much like me that people thought that they recognized me. So I got to find her.
Are the sheer odds?
I know.
I know. Yeah, I not a lot of female bass players and not a lot of people who look like you.
Yeah.
That's so fun though. I'm so glad the gig went good, and you got to give yourself credit. I thought this when we were talking about it the other day. Like you said, stuff got a little off, and you had to jettison some of the parts you had planned and stuff. But it is also an accomplishment to have sort of the gas in the tank to go.
Exactly.
All right, I just need to buckle down and just get through this one. And that's a skill of its own.
Yeah. I mean, I was grateful to have developed my skills to the point where I had room to back off. I could be like, I sorry about the sounds this time, guys. I have Do Not Disturb on. I don't know what's going on. I was grateful that I could have, I'm always trying to push myself, but like a plan B on a bad day is just back up to what you're comfortable with. And I was like, I'm glad I have that buffer. Now.
Yeah. There's some headroom between hey, if I need to back off, I can just get by on this. And that's a cornerstone of my thing. I carefully work out my plan Bs. Like if I do need to back away from this, here's what I'd like to play. Mm-hmm. If for some reason I gotta, then I know sort of where my, backup point is. Anyway, so that was Sunday. Did we do anything else Sunday?
You cleaned the house. I crashed.
That's right.
I just crashed. I took a nap in the afternoon, and then I was just sluggish the rest of the night. And it was great. I needed it.
I did the world's worst job at cleaning the shower.
No, you did the best job at cleaning the shower.
Oh, it took so long.
That thing is so much cleaner than it's been in a long time. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I guess I'm just frustrated because it took forever and I missed like a couple little spots and nothing's worse than that. You know what I mean? Like I tried really hard and there's still like one or two little so it's great to, those chores have been kind of like gnawing, and so it's great to get some of that stuff out, and then here we are. What's coming up next week? Boy, this one, we were talking about going short.
And this one feels like it went long.
Yeah.
Next week, I have a Diamond Empire Band showcase, my first one of these.
That's right.
This is where potential clients can come check out the band and see if they want to hire us. So I am honored to be the bass player on this gig.
That is actually, I didn't think about it that way.
Honored.
That is that's a real honor. I mean, this is an important thing. This is more important than just a normal gig, because this is
in a sense, yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of wedding planners and industry people go to those things. From what I've heard from
and it's a little intimidating too because it's there's like 15 or 20 people on the gig because there's like 6 singers and 3 or 4 horn players. The singers all take turns, and then there's
that is actually very smart of them.
Yeah. So it's not just like one lineup. It's
to be here's all the different things we could give you.
Yeah. And so there are all of these people in the scene who I look up to musically, who I'm going to be in the rhythm section for. I mean, Spencer, a vocalist, he teaches piano and vocals, and he took lessons with me for several months last year on voice, obviously. Mm-hmm. He's going to be one of the singers there. Joe Mondragon's one of the singers that night.
Yeah, monster.
Yeah, and so, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm preparing for that.
Where is that at?
It's at Woods Boss Brewing Company.
Oh, that's right, and that's cool because you've been wanting to check that place out.
Yeah,
or
it
you
might-
have, but like
Yeah,
this will be an actual show.
Might be in a showcase location.
Right.
So I've got that, and then I also need to learn all of the showcase tunes on bass just in case.
Yeah, that's true, and I should probably start learning some showcase tunes.
You're gonna wait until the week before.
Yeah, of course.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. Gonna be better about it this time. But it's always fun. I always over prepare. Anyway, gosh, yeah, no shows this week, but
Right. No gigs this weekend.
yeah, we're probably gonna go see some movies.
Yeah, we got the Alamo Draft House season pass.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
$20 a month per person, and you can see unlimited movies.
Yeah. And I'm just hacking through some. I guess it's not true. Actually, Wednesday I'm with Howl at the Moon
Oh, that's right.
out at the Gaylord.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll be a gig. Anyway, let's shut this down.
Yeah.
It's gone long.
Yeah. It's getting boring.
Blah, blah, blah. As always, we are sponsored by Performance High
Voice and Music Studio.
and the lovely folks over at Pacifico. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I actually became a fan of that because of Burdette.
No way.
It's not like I'd never had one, but at the Burdette's house in Arizona, that was usually in the fridge, and that's where I, really discovered that brand.
Burdette being my mom's husband.
Right. Yeah. So.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of makes me think of them, so it's yeah.
Cool.
Anyway,
right.
we're gonna close it down. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you again next week, assuming this hasn't turned you off.
Bye.